moving on to Picasso Trigger from 1988. After his brother gets eliminated in Hard Ticket to Hawaii, which is a sequel to this movie, crime lord triggers a ruthless hunt against all the agents responsible, and those remaining agents will have to avenge their fallen comrades. That's basically this movie. And, it's another titty flick, another Andy Sidaris movie, so we know mostly what we're going to get out of this. In comparison to the previous movie, this one doesn't quite have the same craziness to it. Like, the previous one had that killer snake on the loose, which kind of helped throw the movie over the top in its level of absurdity, which is a good thing. I mean, it made the movie a little more enjoyable. In this one, it's missing that type of aspect, and I think it's also... It doesn't have anywhere near as many amusing quips that I've mentioned in those previous movies. I'll never get over that one from Malibu Express, the hard evidence line. But anyways, yeah, I can't recall this one having too many funny lines. It still had, the usual action. It still had the hot women. It had all of that. So it's still not a huge difference, but yeah, just not as good as the previous movie.
Yeah, so there were elements about this movie that I liked, including a reveal somewhat toward the second half of the movie, which legitimately surprised me. I'm like, oh hey, that's actually pretty cool. Wasn't expecting it for a movie of this caliber. But for the most part, I feel like this movie is just maybe a bit too convoluted. Like, there's a bunch of characters here, and they pretty much are the same. Like, I'll be honest, I can't tell a single woman apart. They're like all the same. The women in Vegas and the ones in Hawaii, I don't know their names. I have no idea. And that one long-haired Asian guy, don't know his name either. I mean, at least he stands out. The one thing I guess one character that I sort of did enjoy, I think her name was Pantera, and she had a little bit of an interesting story to her, and in fact, her story arc goes in a somewhat maybe unexpected place. I certainly didn't expect it with this movie went with her. But for the most part, I like the idea, hey, we have to hit them in these three places and you have to take them down all at once. I like the idea, but the execution here, I don't know, it didn't do that much for me. It just seemed to be lacking. Like, if the movie was a higher budget, they might have been able to make it work. And like I said, there were some elements about this I liked, but I certainly thought that How Ticket to Hawaii was a much, I may not say much, but it was certainly a more enjoyable movie.
We just got done talking about Trick or Treats, which had plenty of unnecessary scenes, but the shower scene at the start of this one was very necessary, in my opinion.
Well, I guess the question is, are there any nude scenes in this movie that you would deem unnecessary?
Maybe if it had, like, a guy's ass in it.
Of course.
Maybe.
You keep saying that. We believe you.
Yeah. The funny thing is, when this movie was starting, it lists the different actors in the movie. There's one guy called, his name is Gooch, I guess. Imagine having the first name Gooch. I mean, knowing that it's, a slang term for that spot between your balls and asshole.
That would be quite the identity to be known as.
I mean, assuming I'm pronouncing his name correctly, I can't see how else it would be pronounced. So, anyways, I just thought that was amusing. And my condolences to that guy. I was talking about how it had less amusing quips in this movie, and there was this one scene where one of the women is saying, "I don't have a jealous bone in my body," and like she takes off all her clothes. That was like the perfect time to say something about putting a new bone into her body. but it never happened.
Well, we can't all be happy with the lines that movies give us.
I was surprised though to see Dennis Alexio in this because he was Van Damme's brother in Kickboxer. So just, I never expected to see him pop up in this movie. I didn't see who was in it before I started watching it. And I've never really seen him in anything else, to be honest. So it was just one of those surprising actors that pops up in a movie. And he had one or two small scenes in the film, and I mean, there's nothing really to talk much about with what he did in the movie, but there you go.
To be honest, I don't even know the guy.
He's the guy that Tong Po paralyzes at the beginning of Kickboxer.
Got it. Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
So generic, strong-looking white guy.
Well, I mean, he is like an actual kickboxing champion in real life. To my knowledge, I don't know too much about his martial arts background, but he is a martial artist first and an actor second, if I recall correctly.
In that case, it's actually sort of surprising he made it into Picasso Trigger.
Well, not really. I mean, acting's not exactly the strongest suit of anyone in the movie, so they get all their actors from Playboy and whoever else. Oh, you've been in Playboy. You'd be good in this movie.
Well, that's probably how they cast half the women.
Yeah, it is, because I actually watched a behind the scenes type thing on this, and I mean, it didn't go too much into the actual behind the scenes for this specific movie, but for just all the movies in general. And they were saying that, Andy Sedaris is good friends with Hugh Hefner, and he'd be at the Playboy Mansion, and he'd just pick up a lot of women from that and put them in the movies, which isn't surprising. I mean, you see the level of talented ladies in this, or you see their talents. Speaking of that, we should probably go into, and I know you were saying how most of the women, you couldn't really tell them apart, but being that these movies, like a primary aspect of the movie is the women, if you had to pick one for your personal choosing, who are you going with?
The unfortunate thing is most of the time I would actually probably have a choice. I don't know if I do in this one.
Because you were saying Pantera.
Yeah, the only one, because she was one of the few women that really stood out to me. I'm not necessarily saying she's the most attractive. I mean, all these women that, decently attractive, but they pretty much, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it has been a week since I've seen this, but they pretty much all have the same type of body shape, so it's not much in the way of variety.
I mean, some are a little... I mean, yeah, they're all curvy, I guess you could say. I mean, some maybe are a little bigger or smaller than others, but yes, pretty much. I mean, obviously, Pantera was nice looking. I would probably go with the woman that played Edie. She was in the previous movie as well. I believe I did look up her name, Cynthia Brimhall. And I see she's in quite a few of the other movies as well, so it'll be very nice to see more of her. You're probably thinking, wait a minute, which one was that? which person was that in this movie?
She's the one who had the restaurant type thing, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
She was fine. I don't have anything. I don't have anything against any of these women. It's how do you choose one when they're pretty much cookie-cutter, big-breasted women.
Nice. Okay, yes. I'll take them all.
there you go. That's I think I get screwed in, or maybe you get screwed in that trade.
I'd like to get screwed in that trade.
Indeed. I've got nothing.
Yeah, so Picasso Trigger. I mean, like I said, you kind of know what you're going to get out of this if you've seen Hard Ticket to Hawaii or any of the other Andy Sidaris movies. It was okay. It didn't quite have as many amusing lines, or the plot wasn't as crazy as the previous one, but it is what it is. And I actually kind of wish these films had kind of like a cooler villain, maybe, rather than just generic businessman type thing. But in any case, look, the main thing to enjoy here is pretty much the women for me. So, and the action, of course, but both of those combined. Because there actually are some decent action scenes from time to time in these movies. I mean, you'll see the occasional surprisingly violent death, or so I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. It was okay. I'm sure that there are a few others in the series that will be a little more enjoyable than this one, though.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same, give this one a 6 out of 10. I mean, if you've seen some of this guy's other movies, you've pretty much seen this one. I think the plot was, a bit ambitious, but I think they were just trying something. I didn't find it nearly as enjoyable as How Ticket to Hawaii. Maybe if this movie had a snake in it. But I don't know, 6 out of 10 seems fine. It's not like it's a horrible time to watch, but I would hope that this is past maybe in this mid-range caliber of movies. But I guess we will find out as the time goes on.
I don't know if you've ever seen that meme. I don't know what's it called, flex tape or something, where the guy like smacks the tape on the side of something to stop it from leaking. And there's all these kind of memes where you can find them for movies, like Full Moon Entertainment slapping dolls onto a movie. In this case, it you could say, let's slap Killer Snake onto a movie to make it good. Yeah, just throw in a Killer Snake somewhere. That'll make things interesting.
I thought I was up to date, as the kids say, on the meme culture, but I just looked this up. I've literally never seen this meme in my life, so.
I did share one on our Facebook page, I think a while back, and it was probably that Full Moon one where it was like low budget movie, slap killer dolls onto it, or something like that. Yeah.
Hey, you can only go so wrong with Full Moon movies though, so I guess it works.
Yeah.